Well, hello and welcome to Watch What Crappens, the podcast for all that. Well, we don't even have to say that because it's a bonus episode.
Funny.
Well, hello, Ben.
Hi, Ronnie. How are you today?
Good. I was like, whoa, it's our last day of Tiger King. It's going to be amazing. But guess what? There's going to be another Tiger King episode coming out on Sunday. So
Yep,
look at that.
they've thrown in an extra episode that's going to be hosted by Joel McHale, and he's going to be interviewing various key figures in the show. Don't know how that's going to work out. Feels like it might be weird. I don't know. We'll keep tabs on it,
Well, I
and we'll
suppose
see.
time is going to tell us all about it. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I have to start off the show because it's a video by explaining what happened to my face.
What?
Ben,
Your
I
face looks
told you I was
fine.
buying that. I was told you I was finding that little spot remover thing that I bought off of Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
and it came from China the other day. So I finally
Oh no, the
opened it,
laser.
charged it up. Oh my god, I look like I've been abused. Okay, I did a couple spots on my face
Oh
here, and
no.
that's why I look like Freddy Krueger over here. Turns out you're just burning your face. Okay, and then I did some on my arms, and it looks like someone put out cigarettes on my arms. So
It's like
I
when
don't.
Ramona did like that peel before she went on one of the cast trips.
Yeah, so I guess we'll see how that turns out. Let's hope it heals, okay? And
It
I'm not
will.
scarred forever.
I'm sure it will. It's funny that you started with your face before you did like a less
No,
focus.
I did my arm first, but the
Oh,
thing is they didn't look this like scabby. They just looked weird,
oh,
but
just like
they
pock
didn't.
marks.
Yeah, do you see it?
Yeah.
But then I know I'm sorry guys, it's so disgusting to be showing you, but I don't know. I wanted to update you on
On
my
Tiger King, it's
self-harm
okay.
journey.
Yeah,
I know, at least I don't have meth mouth, you know?
not yet.
Yeah, give it time, I guess.
Yeah. Look at meanwhile, speaking about meth mouth, look at Bueller over there chewing on his doggy bed.
He wants to play so bad. It's weird because the dog is always stuck inside. So quarantine shouldn't be really weird for a dog, but he is acting so. Maybe it's because I'm inside all the time with him, and he's like, "It's so."
He's not going to
See,
stand
look,
for
he
this.
knows we're
He just
talking
left.
about him. He's like,
He's like,
You're not paying
I will
attention to
not,
me."
I will not sit here and be slandered on a
Bueller,
live
come back, come
broadcast.
back, Bills. He's mad that he's around me so much, but I'm not paying attention to him. So yeah, he just like totally heard his name. And then he was like, "Oh, you're not talking to me? Well, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah.
Fuck you."
Well, speaking of fuck yous, Carol Baskin, am I right? Well, we are here. We've made it through the end of our Tiger Week, and it's the thrilling conclusion of Tiger King, and we are here to recap this final episode, which going into it, the cliffhanger from episode 6 was like, well, you think you know the whole story, but you actually don't know the whole story at all. And so I was like, ooh, there's gonna be like all these massive revelations. And there
Nope.
were some, but I was kind of like, no, Joe, you're a crazy person. You basically got conned by a very obviously shady person, and that's on
And
you.
not really conned. Like, I'm not
Not
getting where
really.
his whole like I got conned thing is. You did not get conned. You needed someone else's money to not get your shit
Yeah.
taken away, and you took that person's money and now they own your shit. I don't understand why
You
that's so confusing to you, sir, but that's what happened.
you embezzled. You embezzled from him, and you did other shady things. And so he said, "Fuck this guy. I'm gonna set him up." That's just sort of when you when you deal with like low lives. That's usually what's gonna happen. Bueller is back, by the way. Bueller is now trying to do something with the pillows back there.
Yeah, he's gonna make
Protest.
Hi, good boy, Bueller. Okay, you're gonna have your own bed now? Okay, I love it, Bueller. Thanks for getting dog hair. I have dog beds all over this house. He's got like 5 dog beds, but he needs to do that, you know?
Yeah,
I'm
it's his
telling
journey.
you.
Yes,
But yeah, you lie down with dogs and you get fleas. That's what happens. That's what you were talking
thank
about
you.
there.
There you go.
So here we are with Tiger King episode 7. We opened at a carnival with Joe dancing around the carnival and Travis in the glass
Yeah,
maze, which really must have been confusing for that poor little dum dum. I know
yeah. This is
you're not allowed to speak ill of the dead or anything. I'm not speaking ill of him, but it's not ill to say he's a dum dum, right? Bless his heart. Look
no.
at him and here in
He's
this
like,
glass maze.
yeah, he really had some trouble with that glass maze there, that mirror maze. He was poor Travis. Yeah, okay, don't put meth heads into mirror mazes. It's there's already a lot of things that meth heads are dealing with already. The last thing that meth head needs is to navigate a mirror maze traps. He was in there for about 5 hours. Let's be honest, okay?
Yeah, especially glass because it's like you're putting them inside one giant pipe, You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They're gonna just try and start all the walls on fire and inhale.
Yeah. Look, he had such great arms. Oh,
He was just such a little cutie pie, that
cute little
guy,
meth head.
and he also really believed in the Old Navy cargo pants, which is something that my
Mm,
friends and family made me get rid of.
yeah.
I think like 2 years ago, they finally put their foot down, and God, I miss those fucking things. I really do.
Yeah.
Navy cargo pants, come back.
Come back. Well, I'm not going to say come back, but I support you for wanting them back. But
Thank
either
you.
way, this opening is like very much, it has like shades of Michael Jackson, right? Because it's like Joe Exotic in a carnival, which is what, Michael Jackson had like a whole carnival set up at his Neverland Ranch. And Joe is like making friends. And he's like, all of a sudden we see him just like walking with a parade of like young teenagers. I just don't understand. Like I feel like when I was a teenager, if I saw someone like Joe Exotic, I wouldn't want to be like, hey, let's just like walk in a big posse around this carnival together. Like where are like the standards? At least I mean these kids didn't even have their parents to sell them out like Michael Jackson's kids, right? Like these are just kids who are like, no, it's a creepy old dude with a mullet. Maybe they thought it was like funny and like ironic. I just don't understand.
Yeah, and he's poor, you know? It's like you're gathering around a poor person, and also you're all right around the age that he would start dating you, so please just stay away from the man with the crocodile Dundee hat, okay?
Yeah, I mean, this is like 2018 or so. These kids should know better. I know it's like asking a lot of kids. These are the same kids that like went down to, Panama City, Florida to have their spring break and get coronavirus, but still, I mean, there's got to be some common sense happening, right?
Yeah,
No? I
nope,
guess nope.
nope,
Nope.
there's not at all, okay?
Yeah.
So then we find out what Monkey Man is doing this whole time, okay? Because we've been seeing Tim Stark, Monkey Man, man with an office chair on a patio and a monkey on his lap. And so guess what? Guess who he is, guys? He is Jeff Lowe's partner.
Yes. So, okay. So the episode's called Dethroned, and we are in Thackerville, Oklahoma, which is where Jeff is moving the zoo to, and Tim Stark is the new partner. Because God forbid that Jeff gets anyone who's like sort of upstanding as a partner, right? So their plan is to have the new zoo open by spring break. And I'm like loving the idea that Thackerville, Oklahoma could be a spring break destination. I guess maybe for the school kids, but still.
Yeah. All those kids, like, it's about to be spring break. Get your bikinis. We're going to the Tiger Place in Thackerville.
Thackerville. This year I was gonna go to Cancun, but I think I'm gonna do Thackerville, Oklahoma instead.
So Tim is telling us, well, hey, might as well be business partners with me. I'm smarter than most people. And then we see a monkey just to show how
And
close
like
he
a
is with
yeah.
animals, a monkey eating something out of his mouth.
Yeah, and he's got like a monkey and like a baby Bjorn on his chest, and he goes, they say you can't get nothing done with a monkey on your back, so I put him on my front, and he can still get shit done. I'm like, way to kill that metaphor. You said, you know what? You're like, when people say it's raining cats and dogs, I put a basket out there, and now I'm capturing cats and dogs. It's like, way to be very literal about your metaphor.
Yeah. So he's like, Eric asked him, are you worried about all this fallout with Joe? With Joe? Like, I mean, everything's gone to shit. And he's like, I ain't worried about the fallout. I'll tell you, you should be worried. Joe, I actually should be worried about fallout.
Yeah.
And then we go to Joe
Wait,
on the phone.
before Joe on the phone, as we're like seeing this beautiful partnership between Jeff and Tim develop, in case there's any like doubt about how this zoo is going to be run, we see this footage of Tim on like a forklift trying to take a container, like ones that are on container ships, trying to take it off of like a tractor trailer, and he just like knocks it over on its side.
Yeah.
Just like, and the zoo. Here's the zoo. Open by spring break soon. Sorry, some of our cages are made with crepe paper.
Yeah. I'm smarter than most people. Not necessarily a better driver than most people, but I'm definitely smarter than most people. Okay. I dropped that fucker smartly. Damn
I
it.
tell you, those monkeys had quite a ride that day.
So then we get a scene of Dylan riding around his fancy, fancy car.
Yeah.
Everyone online was saying, oh, why is Dylan still with him? Because of that damn car. Look at that thing, honey.
hmm Dylan looks vaguely like Theo Vaughn, who was formerly on Road Rules and is now a comedian. Just putting that out there.
It is a nice car, I guess. I don't know. I
It's a
can't really
Toyota.
tell.
It's a Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Ride the USA in your Chevrolet. So Joe is like calling him on the phone in the car, and Joe is like all broken up, and he's just like very worried that Dylan won't still be there for Joe when he gets out of jail in 80 years. And he's like, when I married you, I just wanted to be different than everything else was. I'm like, then why didn't you change? Like, why? Like, you were still a free man when you married Dylan. Like, why did you do this?
Yeah, why do you want him when you're out of prison in 70 years anyway? It's gonna be way too old for you by then.
Yeah, you'll
Come
have a new
on.
boyfriend in prison. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, I'll make it up to you, Dylan. I'll make it up to you. And Dylan's like, those are our conversations 3 times a day. And this was our question during Real Housewives of New Jersey too. Like, what is jail anyway? Like,
Yeah.
what do you jail sounds amazing. Like you can just like talk on the phone all day and like watch TV.
I think it depends on the sort of jail you go to, but Joe is in a federal prison, and
Doesn't sound
he's
good.
doesn't sound good. Although he again is complaining a lot about how they put you in a cage and your soul dies, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, everything he's been doing to animals for 20 years, and now he's having it happen to him. So not a huge amount of not a huge amount of sadness on my part.
Yeah, and
And
then
I'm
we
not
get a
even a big
lot of
animal rights activist. I'm like a standard level, like, don't be mean to animals guy, but I'm not like above and beyond. I'm just kind of like, yeah, but you had a shitty zoo. I'm sorry. Those poor animals looked miserable. So turn
yeah.
about fair play.
So then we get Sylvia, my favorite, Sylvia the news lady. She's like, other investigations are unfolding as we speak. So then we see Jeff Lowe
Hmm.
letting the feds into Joe's house,
Yeah.
basically. And they took all his jump drives and documents and stuff. And Jeff's like opened up lots of cans of worms for old Joe there. I
Like
really want
literal
to see
cans of
Jeff Lowe.
worms.
I want to
Literal
see
cans
Jeff
of
Lowe
worms
get
that Jeff
his
had.
yeah,
That Joe
literal
had.
cans of worms. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see Jeff Lowe get his. This guy's such a fucker. I mean, everyone in this is a fucker, so I don't want
Yeah.
anyone to think I'm like, oh, he's a fucker, and Joe's like, great. Joe's a fucker too, but Jeff is really a fucker. I don't think it's fair to only see one person get his due.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like, I mean, they're like alluding to the fact that he will get his at some point, I guess. So the feds, while they were rooting around, they found all these bones of big cats and tigers and stuff. And this lady Marsha Davis, who's like a former employee, she pops up to say that Joe had shot 5 tigers. And and so then Doc Antle shows up then as well with a soul patch, and he's like, they trumped up the wildlife charges because the murder for hire was so flimsy. I'm like, and like, what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
Like,
He's
isn't
like,
that how it always works?
yeah, he's like they come up with 20 something charges. They take some dolt and they make him into some big felonious murderer. I mean, come on.
Polonius monk.
And yeah, Doc is basically here to stand up for Joe through this whole thing, which makes the
Yeah,
rest of this kind of surprising. And then the Fed is like,
Amanda.
counts 1 and 2 charged him with murder for hire, and then 3 to 7 are for shooting and killing 5 tigers, and then the remaining counts are just for the sales of the tigers and the lion cubs. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
pretty much fucked on this one.
Yeah, he's fucked. He's fucked. And so Joe's like, you know what they threatened me with? 79 years, okay? 79 years. And he's like speaking on this weird jail webcam, and his mullet has gotten like all messed up. He basically has like Ralphie Wiggum hair. It's like these strange, like 6 strands of hair that are like on his forehead. It's like I'm almost sure that maybe they've been like tattooed on. But his mullet is really suffering a lot right now.
Yeah, his bangs, he's like season 2 prisoning right now, where it's like, I'm a season 2 prison person, I'm totally getting bangs. It's like,
They're just
no,
like,
okay.
yeah, they're greased down and they're all sort of like curved in the same direction.
Yeah, it's like you couldn't have your mullet, so you chose bangs.
It
Joe, come
almost,
on.
if you squint, it really looks like a croissant. Just squint a little bit, it's a croissant. He has a croissant on his forehead.
Delicious. That's what
What
I
a
call
delicious
natural. Yeah,
hairstyle.
yeah, what a delicious
Can I
hairstyle.
get a
It
croissant
does.
right now?
It does have the curves of the top of a croissant.
No, if you look at it, it just looks like a croissant. It's like
Yeah, it does.
the full shape of a croissant.
Delicious. Also, they have a great jail filter. on him. Like,
Yeah.
you know how Instagram has the
Mhm.
filters? He has like a really nice youthful filter.
Mhm.
His eyebrow work. Now the eyebrow work needs some help. This is very like shaved. I mean, do they even do that in jail? Not where they shave. What do they call it? Where they fine
Pluck.
tune your no, not pluck. It's come on, man.
Thread.
Pluck, come
Thread.
thread. No, thread. No. It's where they kind of go over it with like a brush. They basically shave them down and color them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Okay.
mean, right?
Yeah, I think I do.
I know I'm making you all crazy at home. I'm sorry, but I'm not up with my eyebrow game. But yeah, his
To
is
all you
really
prisoners, we
weird.
apologize.
Yeah, they've got like just I just love that they have like saloning in prison. You know,
Yeah.
they're like, Joe, I know this is rough for you, but you're getting croissant bangs, new eyebrows, and a decent fucking filter. Okay.
Yeah. So then Joe is like, "Did I shoot the tigers? I euthanized 5 tigers, okay? Listen, if you got a sick tiger, you gotta there's only one way you can deal with it. You gotta shoot it or dart it. Those are the only 2 options, okay? Because those stomachs are full of acid, and you have to be careful because guess what? Their blood is actually TNT, and they will explode if you're not careful. So that's what we had to do." I'm like, why do I feel like the San Diego Zoo, when they have to put down one of their tigers, they don't just like take a rifle and like put it right between the tiger's eyes? Why do I feel like there's maybe like an injection of some sort that's like a little bit more
It's
humane?
expensive, all right. They don't sell those at Walmart.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I'm not so sure about this, Joe.
So then the news Jeff is pissed off because everyone all people keep asking him about is Joe, right? They
Yeah.
come to the zoo, they ask him about Joe, and he's like, I'm fucking embarrassed. I'm like sick of people asking me about it. And then we get a shot of him with a news lady who's doing a segment on him, and she's the most obnoxious news lady of all time. She's like, "Oh my god, these tigers are perfect. If you ask me, they are. They are perfect." It's like, eat the bitch. Just
Yeah.
bite her, please.
I also liked how that news segment, the chyron on it said "fun with sloths" with an exclamation point. I was like, A, those are tigers. B, like, are the sloths, is that like a commentary on Jeff? Like what you know? Also the cheeriness of that chyron. If you go forward a little bit, you'll see where it says "fun with" or back. Here, there it is. Fun with sloths. It's like you're literally hanging out with like just low level Cohen brothers criminals, and you have this cheery headline of "Wow, we're gonna go play with sloths now."
Yeah, but look, it's almost like she knew what the next shot was. It's
Yeah,
James Garrettson just leaning back on his couch watching TV.
in
Okay,
full
so now
sloth
I see.
pose.
Now I see where that Chiron was pointing to.
It's more, but this is less like fun with sloths. It's more like uncomfortably close with a sloth.
Yeah, awkward angles with sloths
I'm
coming
still
up
trying to,
next.
I'm still trying to like lock down what his hairstyle reminds me of. Like I was thinking, um, I was thinking like I was getting some Pamela Reed from it, but I haven't quite gotten to maybe uh it's almost like the receptionist from Big Business, Mary Gross, but still have not landed on it.
I'm sticking with the Jack. He's got Jack
Oh no,
hair.
he's definitely the Jack. You're right. I forgot about the whole Jack thing. No, he's definitely a Jack.
Yeah. So then he's got a ham head and Jack hair.
There's like a little Jane Curtin to it too. Like if Jane Curtin was playing a Jack.
Yeah, he's gross.
Hmm.
So then James is telling us, yeah, well, he stole my idea for that zoo in Thackerville because that was my idea. But then things started to sour, and Jeff didn't care who he screwed over. So, trouble in paradise.
Listen, just because you have the idea and said, "Hey, you should move it down to the casino," doesn't mean you then get to own the zoo. Okay, like
Yeah.
maybe maybe negotiate to get like a position, but like all these guys are so dumb. They all just like assume that because they contribute something that therefore they are entitled to everything.
Yes. And that's, what people don't understand, like that sense of entitlement. Not only rich people have that, dumbass poor people have it too. He's like, well,
Yeah.
it was my idea. Why my name on the zoo?
Yeah.
Why?
Wow. And then Jeff is like, well, things went bad with James because he couldn't afford to pitch in. I'm like, did you ever think he could pitch in? What point? Like he has like all he has to his name is a lemur and like a red t-shirt. The man looks like one of those bouncy balls you'd sit on at recess that had the handles and you just bounce around, you know? Like that is not
Yes.
going to be a business partner for you.
Yeah. And James is like, everyone wants to be the biggest, but no one ever focuses on, hey, who's gonna be the nicest? It's like
I'm like,
you're the one saying that. Oh, I'm so sorry. People aren't charitable enough with you, guy
yeah.
who runs a conning business out of the fucking pawn shop storefront.
Also, like, has he seen real zoos? Like, has he been to the San Diego Zoo? Has he been to like the DC Zoo, the Omaha Zoo? Has he been to just any zoo? It's like, because I wasn't sure if he meant like being the nicest in terms of like friendliest or nicest in terms of like the spiffiest or cleanest zoo or just like quality. But I'm like, either way, San Diego Zoo sort of does all that.
Yeah,
So like stop acting as if like you had this revolutionary idea to have like just the fanciest, most beautiful zoo in Thackerville,
yeah, it's
Oklahoma.
my idea. Hey, you know what I had an idea about? Superheroes should make a bunch of movies. Why didn't I get any of that Avengers money?
Why not?
Why?
Why not? You know what? I had a falling out with my lemur. I was like, lemur, we need to come up with hybrid vehicles. And guess what? Now the lemur runs Toyota.
I
Um
used to write down notes on what to get from the shopping store, and I would always lose them, and so I started putting tape on them and, like, folding the tape up and then sticking them to the fridge, and I thought, "Wouldn't this be great if they just were like stickers and you could just stick them to the fridge?" And then
yeah.
someone came out with sticky notes. Where is my damn name on the sticky notes?
You know, I was like, my cell phone is so wonderful. Like, wouldn't it be great if there's like a cell phone that was just like could do everything, and it would be like my phone. It'd be like there's me, James I, and then my phone, like my iPhone. Like, and then all of a sudden, guess what? I don't even get any sort of residuals from Apple. Just
Don't
stole
even
my
get me
idea.
started on Apple.
Yeah, Apple. I was like, let's have a computer called Pear. And next thing you know, there's one called Apple. Strange.
And just apples themselves. I thought, God, wouldn't it be great if trees grew things that you could eat off of? And then fucking
Mhm.
Apple comes out.
Apple.
So
God comes up with Apple. By the way, can we also discuss Jeff, his like strange tendril of gray curly hair at the back of his bandana that like leaks out? Like he's clearly got like one lock of hair left, and so he like puts it out as prominently as possible because he's got his big bandana and then the bigger hair, and then he's got that little like curl of gray that like sneaks out like a piece of pasta.
yeah, he does that thing guys who just can't accept balding do, where they're just growing hair wherever they can. They're like, "Look, I still have hair." It's like, it's not a contest, okay? You don't have a
Yeah,
full head of hair, you're bald. That's
yeah,
it. It's like, it's not a little bit or a lot, you're bald. Just accept it, shave that shit, okay?
yeah,
Jeff,
yeah. Seriously, Jeff, it's
I'm all mad.
terrible.
I'm all
It's
mad because I have to shave my head and everyone else is like, "Look at me, I've got a bandana and a tendril. I'm like Fabio."
bandana and a tendril. Okay, so
So now, basically, James is pissed because they didn't put his name on this new zoo. So now, this is what you get when you trust a low life piece of shit hamhead. Okay,
yeah,
he's gonna turn on you too. You think he's just gonna turn on one person? No, a snake is a snake to everybody. All right.
exactly. So then Joe in prison goes, see, this is how business is done with Jeff and James. Jeff saw an opportunity and he took it. I'm like, wow, God forbid someone in business sees an opportunity and takes it. What a terrible thing to happen.
Yeah. Do you know who else does business like that? Everybody who does business.
I just can't believe that Jeff had the idea that like the branding at the GW Zoo is terrible because the guy who started it is in jail right now. So why don't I move it and put it near a casino where tourists might want to come see it more easily? God.
That is crazy. So Eric asked James, he's like, "So you're saying that Jeff was involved in killing Carol? How was that?" And James is like, "You're not going to show this to the defense attorney, right? Don't let that motherfucker out." Okay. Here's how it happened. Jeff helped lay the whole thing out.
Yeah. So then we have like Alan saying again that Alan is saying that Joe offered him money he's like to kill that lady, and at first he offered me 5,000, but then he gave me 3,000, so I took it and I ran. So that was like the story that we know already. But then we see a call with Jeff and Alan, and I feel like this call was supposed to be like a smoking gun, but to me it wasn't. Jeff was like, "Hey, remember, this is all about getting Joe in trouble, like even locked up for what he did, because we could get immunity out of this." I'm like, yeah. I mean, wasn't that
Yeah.
clear? But that's what you
He,
guys are doing, right? All along, right?
no, because Jeff was saying that he was just helping because it was true that Joe wanted to kill Carol, but now they're like, basically entrapment, I guess is what they're showing
Yeah,
here.
but like entrapment, but Jeff is not illegal. Entrapment, I think, matters more if you're the police. Because actually, I remember in McMillions they explained this more, but entrapment is when the law is like makes you do something against the law, and then you do it, and then they're like, "Ha, you broke the law, so we're gonna arrest you." That's but like if you're like a regular citizen duping someone to break the law,
I
you're
know what
just
entrapment is. Do you think this ass just sits around making no money? Okay. I know how to walk up to a car on Nebraska Street and say, "Are you a cop?" Okay. I understand. Thank you.
But I think the point is that like I think a citizen like it could be entrapment, but it's not like a
Right,
citizen
but
can do it
they
to
already
another.
showed on the show that Jeff was the one who said, "Let's kill the bitch," or whatever, and started talking about it, and now he's trying to make it sound like it was just Joe who came up with this and just Joe doing all of this
Yeah,
stuff. So I guess it's just to like cement it more in our heads that Jeff is guilty, which of course we already know.
yeah.
Bandana, hat, tendril.
Tendril.
Okay. Goatee.
The three pillars
Goatee.
of guilt. Bandana hat tendril.
Yeah.
BHT. You got a BHT? Guilty.
So then the news lady's like, the trial begins on the 25th. The jury was selected, and Joe introduced himself to the jury. He said, "I'm Joseph Maldonado Passage, and I'm the reason you are all here."
Of course, Joe can't even help being a showman at his own trial. So John Ranke, who is the guy who does not have who has the prosthetic legs, he is like really nervous about testifying because it's scary. It's scary to testify. He's worried that somehow he'll get dragged into it, and worst of all, he has to buy pants for the first time in 20 years.
That's rough. I
That is
mean,
a
look,
rough.
when we do our live shows, I'm like, "Oh my god, I have to put on actual clothes." I'm
No,
like used to wearing sweats. That's it. So I
I
get
wear,
the pain.
I'm wearing shorts right now. I was like in my underwear, but I was like, you know what? Leave it to me to be in my underwear and get so excited to reenact a scene on this live camera thing that I stand up and everyone sees my fancy Fruit of the Loom underwears.
No, I never work in my underwear. Always in shorts. Always. I mean, they're
Yes.
elastic shorts, but still, I'm classy. Okay.
Yeah.
So Ranky's freaking out. He's like, "Oh my god, my job was always to get him out of trouble. I don't know if I can do this." And basically just getting ready to be fucked by every single person in his life. And Josh Dial, the political
Hmm.
campaign manager, is like, "I don't mess with the feds. I'm libertarian, so basically fuck the feds, but I don't want to be dealing with them. I was contacted by the FBI and they said point blank, you're either team government or team Joe."
He's like, that was the scariest moment of my life. Yeah, probably a little scarier than the time a tiger almost bit off my face and the time that a guy blew his brains out right in front of my face. So yeah, I've lived a terrible life.
Not to mention you work at the guns section of Walmart. Okay,
Yeah.
this cannot be the scariest moment in your life, sir.
Seriously. So now that the trial is beginning, it's getting underway, and so Eric Cowie, who's the guy who was also like he's the one, the shaggy blonde hair,
Shaggy,
who,
yeah.
yeah. So he is all nervous too, because he and John and Saf are like the unsung heroes of this entire thing, because they're just are the ones who they're the only ones who truly care about the animals. It seems like who care about something larger than themselves. They're the only ones that don't seem to have any sort of self-interest whatsoever. So Eric is nervous. He doesn't like he's like, I don't go to court. I don't even get traffic tickets. Like I'm a good boy. This is like not my arena, you know? So he's nervous and I felt kind of felt bad for him. I was like, oh, poor Shaggy. He actually looks like the Scooby-Doo dude.
Yeah, that's
Like,
why I call him Shaggy. He looks
oh,
like
I thought you
Shaggy.
meant just because of his hair, but he does look like
No,
Shaggy.
he looks
Shaggy
like
with shaggy hair.
Raggy?
Yeah.
Raggy? Yeah, he looks like
Ruh-roh.
Shaggy. Um, he's also the one who shot the tigers. And he's telling me that, the cats trusted me, like they could look me in the eye when they died, and
Mhm.
I had to be the guy right there. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, he
Let's
was
make
really
this.
sad.
Yeah, I know.
He cared about those
So
tigers really very deeply.
yes, he shot him in the head, but still, yeah, I get what you mean. So Carol, then we get Carol putting on lipstick, which God,
Yeah.
I just fucking love this show. Like
Yeah,
I just need shots of Carol putting on lipstick like for the rest of my life. I have to find it so I can put it on the screen. And
Hey, all you
also
cool
just look
cats
how
and
Shaggy
lipsticks.
just talks. He's like one of those guys who you're like, I want to take you seriously, but it looks like you're doing a
Yes.
whole cabaret set called meth, you know? It's
He
like this
yeah.
guy's just like bent over with his shoulders like Bob Fosse.
He's wearing like a button-down shirt where half of it seems to be a lion's mane, and then he's in some sort of it looks almost like a diner, but it's possibly a living room, and there's like an old-timey stove, but also a wheelchair and a fern of some sort. There's like a lot going on.
Yeah, I think this is one of those places they rented from last week, like little cabins or whatever. It's got a
Yeah.
kitchenette.
Yeah. But yeah, the way he's like that body language is just really intense.
It's
You got
just
the cigarette dangling.
terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's terrifying. So yeah. Oh yeah, here's Carol putting on lipstick. Sorry, I just have
Yeah.
to see this. I just
So
love shots of Carol. Okay.
yeah, and she's talking to the news, and she's like, I'm surprised that he didn't. I'm surprised he didn't do it himself, but I wasn't surprised that he would try to follow through. And she's like, the good news is that if he had killed me, he would have pushed the movement so far forward. It'd probably be worth it. So just want to put that into your head that sometimes death is worth it. Sometimes death has virtuous reasons. So anyway, don't look at the septic tank. Don't look at the septic tank.
Yeah. So then they're talking to Finley, and Eric's like, "So you're just going to be testifying about the animals, right?" And Finley's like, both. I'm testifying about everything. I was this right-hand man for 16 years. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, but I ain't going to prison." I was like, "Sir, do you have no loyalty to the man who bought you your pink tiger print
Camo.
gun? Come
Yeah.
on."
By the way, John Finley's courtroom drawing was hot. Like that artist was like, we're gonna spiff him up a little bit because he's like, I was like, damn, courtroom rendering of John Finley. See
I'll
if you
have
can
to look
find it.
for him.
It's like one brief frame. I was like, wait a second, I think I see a hot drawing
Oh yeah, he was so hot. Remember they were showing him in his
in
oh
his
god, do you
prime.
think this is no, I
Well,
don't.
it seemed hot, maybe just like in the context of having seen, Eric. Look, well, maybe not so hot, but definitely hotter. Look,
He
he got
just looks like
the white
satanic and
t-shirt.
so confused. Like even in court, he's like, dude. Like I love that they got his slightly cross-eyed look just staring at the wall, like,
They just really
dude.
clean you know what it is? They just really cleaned him up. I think that's all it was. They
Do you
they
know
did
what
his
it
they did
is?
his
His goddamn
eyebrows.
mouth is closed, is what's
They
going
gave him
on.
they cleaned up his facial hair. I think he looks better. I think he looks good in his drawing. Look at Joe Exotic over there. I mean, he looks like someone spilled a bunch of, spaghetti on his head.
Yeah. Well, look at the detailing on the tattoo of Finley's. I love that the artist was like, you know what? I'm going to town on that fucking tattoo. That's it.
He's like, well, he only wore white t-shirts. That really limits me creatively. So let's work on the tattoo.
So yeah, Finley's like having no trouble. He's like, yep, throwing him completely under the bus. Okay.
Yeah.
So then they interview James a little bit. James goes in, and the news lady's like, "Sir, Hamhead, what is your role today in this process?" And he's like, "Just here to tell the truth." All right.
Yeah. And so then James starts testifying that Jeff is the one who provided all the schematics for Carol's property. And according to Joe, James said that Joe was sitting across from him at his desk when Jeff pulled up like Google Earth, the famous Google Earth search query that started it all.
Yeah. And Sylvia's like, yeah, well, Jeff Lowe is a very skilled con man. Why isn't he facing charges? He's a witness, but he was a witness, but he didn't testify. Why? Because he would perjure himself.
Yeah. Well, the thing is also, by the way, is that we also see Tim Stark, who's like, when Jeff found out that Joe was embezzling tigers, I was telling him, take that motherfucker down and slit his throat and leave him lie. And, the thing is that, like, that's obviously what they were doing. They wanted revenge, right? They were totally just going to take Joe down. And if this were a film noir, you'd be rooting for Jeff. You'd be like, oh, yeah, he got him in the end. But in real life, you're like, what a skis ball.
Yeah, because he's just as bad.
Yeah, tendril.
Yeah, tendril. So then James is like, yeah, I mean, this guy Alan goes down to murder a lady and he doesn't even get probation, which is also true. But I guess
Yeah.
that's how it works.
But that's not what
You
but the
get,
case isn't about Alan, It's about Joe,
yeah,
right?
but it is true. I mean, they're getting Joe on this stuff, but then again, you can't fight for Joe because he did do all this stuff. So
Exactly.
it's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
And by the way, just because why not? We then watch like Alan drawing a bath and like sliding into it. I'm like, thank you for this visual, Eric. So then So
Yeah,
yeah,
I guess they're trying to show that, like, Alan is living his best life because they keep showing shots of Alan like, "Look at this one." Here, they show they're like, "Look at Alan getting away scot-free, just laying back on his couch in his shorts and no shirt and his bandana, chain smoking cigarettes with his dirty sock on our face, and
yeah,
look at this
Beard
fancy thing he's drinking out of." Like, that is a knockoff Walmart Yeti. I mean, this man is just basically Daddy Warbucks, okay?
with his t-shirt draped on the couch so he doesn't get a back stain on it, but still not using that part of the couch, so it's not gonna really work. Um,
Yes, and then,
as
the bath drawing the bath in the corner with his Yeti thing again,
yes, and bandana, by the way, telltale sign, bandana.
but he doesn't put too much water in.
Yeah.
It's only half filled, and he's washing himself like he's, cleaning up in the river.
Yeah. So then Joe is on the phone and he's mad. He's like, you know what? Alan was never confronted about lying on the stand. He lied on the stand and he was never confronted. I'm like, you do realize you had a lawyer too, right? Like, isn't that your lawyer's job to do that? Like why are you acting so defenseless here? Unless maybe he was defending himself. Who knows?
Yeah, well, he's like, "Well, we have phone recordings to prove that he didn't even go to Florida." And then in the recording, Alan's saying, "Well, I never went to Florida. I wouldn't kill her. I wouldn't do it for $1 million." And then the clip
Yeah.
of him saying, "Apparently I chickened out and never went there."
Yeah. So then Joe actually winds up taking the stand against his
Of
department's
course he
his
does.
lawyers.
What
Yeah,
is
he
this, my
could
cousin Vinny? Like, what
it's
the
like
hell?
he has to. It's like one last stage, right? So Joe has like a story for everything because that's the way he's operated this entire documentary. Like whatever it is, he has a story because he just distorts all his reality around him, and he's the victim, and other people have done these things to him. So he says that it's not he didn't give $3,000 to Alan, is that Jeff told him to give Alan $3,000. And it wasn't even to kill anyone. He then says that, well, there was a Thanksgiving and like I cooked Thanksgiving dinner to everyone because I'm a saint, and we raised enough money for that I gave $3,000 to Alan. And I said, here, take this and get the hell out of here, and it was out of the cash register from Jeff's orders. So he's making it sound like this payout was actually at best an altruistic thing so Alan could get his life
No,
together,
he was
or at worst, the
saying, no, he
payoff
was
saying
saying,
leave here.
no, he was saying because he didn't get along with Alan. So Jeff said, "Okay, well, we'll send Alan home, but you need to give him money so
Yeah.
he can live." And so he says, "So I took the money out of the register and gave it to him," which makes sense. I mean, that makes sense to me. Um, Unfortunately, you're caught on tape a lot of times saying, "Let's kill the bitch."
Yeah. And then Doc Antle has this weird defense of Joe. He's like, I mean, across I guess he's saying like the money was clearly not for a hit because he goes, a cross-country hitman does not cost $3,000. He probably cost $100,000 to hire that guy. I mean, like I have to imagine it's probably specifically the line by line breakdown, which I don't know why I'm so well versed in this. I've never ever done this, but yeah, no, yeah, I'm just gonna stop speaking now. I'm gonna stop speaking now.
Yeah. Oh, and I was like, Jeff Lowe set him up. Jeff Lowe obviously did set him up, but he
Yeah,
also just set him up to get caught with shit that he's already doing. So he's
yeah. It's
like,
not like
is it
Joe's a
called
pat.
setting someone up, or is it just called recording things that are happening? I call
Yeah,
it an investigation. All right.
it's not like Joe was one of these people who winds up on the bus bench that he like actually preyed upon. Joe was like he had brought the baton, 4/5 of the way to the end of the relay race, and Jeff was kind of like, hey, let me just like give you a kick to get you over the finish line.
Yeah. So Joe does his testimony that he testifies, and then the federal lady's like, yeah. So then as part of the evidence, we showed a variety of social media posts of him wishing her dead,
Mhm.
snake telling people to put snakes in her mailbox, you
There's
know.
also There's also, by the way, Jeff, right before that, Jeff is trying to like put his spin on why he was not shady at all. He's like, what's the setup, right? I mean, turning them in and like turning someone in and allowing them to talk while they're recording and not letting them know they're being recorded. They call it a setup. I call it investigation.
Yeah. He's like, I just call it trying to get him out of the business because I wanted the
Yeah.
business. It's like, yeah, that's what we're saying.
And then let's not forget Eric the filmmaker. He is so awful. We then see a footage of him on the phone with like a baseball cap backwards, and he's like 52 or something like that or older, and he's like, hey Joe, it's Eric the filmmaker. I'm like, take that baseball cap off, sir. You are a documentarian right now. Stop it.
Oh, I love
So
your
yes,
baseball cap rage.
a lot of Hotware is really framing a lot of my annoyance in this show.
Oh,
So,
really? Well, why don't you look at this shot then
oh God.
of
Well,
Dylan in a
but
backwards
that's because
baseball cap and with
Dylan is like
Joe with a
22. It's
forward
okay.
baseball cap?
That's okay. Dylan's 22, but when Eric is wearing a backward baseball cap, trying to look like he's some cool young Dylan Passage when he's Eric the filmmaker, it bothers me. So anyway, so Amanda's saying, yeah, that they started using all of Joe's social media in the
Yeah.
trial.
It's like, hey, maybe we should show this shot of him just pointing a gun directly at people into the camera. How about that? Maybe that'll work.
Yeah,
And then she does that thing that you do when you're doing like public speaking things where it's like, he thought he was the Tiger King, but even kings fall through kingdoms. Kingdoms have gates, and gates close on kings. It's like, nice work. Nice one.
and it turned out that Carol Baskin had 32 flavors of charges against her from Joe. She's
So
like, I lost
then
my way.
let's see, where are we? Oh yeah, so she gives her thing and Joe's just like, please get me out of here. And James is like, well, he's talking to the cameras outside the courthouse and he's like, I have some different changes of hearts, like, it's gonna be hard to sleep if he gets life. Like, I mean, I'm not the only one to testify, but I feel somewhat responsible. It's like, really, you feel somewhat responsible?
Yeah,
I'm glad that you came to that moral standpoint after you got petty because your
Jack.
name wasn't put on a zoo for something that you did nothing for, sir.
Yeah, stupid Jack
Jack.
card. So then John Ranke, poor John Ranke, he bought pants finally for the first time in 20 years. They looked very nice on him. He has his pants, and then they never asked him to testify. He's like, I ran that zoo for 14 years. I'm the only one so far that seems to have any brains going on here, and they didn't even ask to talk to me. What the hell?
Well, gee, maybe because you'll make Joe sound sympathetic.
Yeah,
How weird in a trial against him. So
yeah,
then Redneck Haven, family dinner. Shaggy goose
yeah.
meat with his hands. That's what I put. What is
Yeah,
that?
because Shaggy, I guess, is now like a line cook at like a diner, and
Oh, he cooked. Oh,
he was
that
making a
was
burger, and he was like patting it down with his fingers. I was like, spatula,
yeah,
please."
Shaggy just standing there at at the flat top grill, putting hamburgers down, and then just sticking his dirty ass hands. Ugh.
And just staring at it. I was like, "Gordon Ramsay, please come over here."
Ugh.
So basically, and then he's like listening to the verdict. And so the jurors only debated for 3 hours. They found Joe guilty on all 19 counts. And you know, it's like, and Eric is like, guilty. And John Ranke, we see him and he goes, he wouldn't have done the murder for hire without someone pushing him. I'm like, but he did it. Like, he should have said, if someone was pushing him, he should have said, that's a bad idea. But he had like years of like lunatic postings on his social media, like violent things against Carol Baskin. Sorry, Joe's crazy.
And then Howard's like pouring champagne. He's like, well, I keep these bottles of champagne. This was definitely a champagne and brie evening. And then
Champagne
Carol
C and B.
then Carol he's like oh sorry, wrong shot.
Yeah.
He's serenading Carol. He's like, if ever I could leave you, it wouldn't be in springtime. She's like, oh
All right, you get to stay alive one more night, crazy man.
shut up, Alexa. I'm not talking to you. Oh, it was you, Siri? I ain't talking to you either. Why don't you shut up and leave me alone? Get me in trouble for murdering some bitch. I didn't do nothing to her. And you can tell them all I said that too.
So after Howard
You
stops,
gotta give her credit. She can listen.
She can. It's like that time she, tried to FaceTime a Grindr hookup from, like, 9 years ago during the podcast. What was his name
Uh,
again? Howard, something like that? Howard Grindr or
Howard,
something?
if ever I
Howard
could leave
Grindr.
you.
Just FaceTiming, he's still singing. It's like, "You are something else, Mitch McConnell."
Uh,
So, yeah, so they were happy because apparently all that had happened was one juror to, like, not be convinced, and it would all get thrown out, so then we get this really charming scene with Jeff and his wife, Lauren. She's pregnant, and he's like, "Well, we're gonna have a baby, and after we're done with after she gives birth, we're gonna get Lauren back in the gym, and in the
ugh.
meantime, we got a new nanny. We got a new nanny." He shows up a picture of this, just like a young, dolled up nanny. I don't want to say slutty because I don't want to slut
That is
shame,
a
but
that is a hoe,
it is a
okay? That
hoe.
is a hoe out the
It
back
is a
of a
hoe.
Vegas newslet Vegas newspaper they hand you on the street, you
Yeah.
know?
And he's like, I mean, he says, "I said to Lauren, like, you can get a nanny as long as I get to pick her," which is just so skeevy. It's like, that's right,
Yeah.
you are awful, hat bandana tendril.
You're gonna get one, why not get one that's good looking? Am I right? And she's like, "Oh, yeah, and some of them are bilingual or even trilingual. That would be great to teach the baby." It's
Mhm.
like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
Lauren." Yeah, mother of the year over there. You're
Yeah.
bringing a baby into this world that is fathered by this guy.
Yeah.
You're doing great, Lauren.
That baby is definitely bound for Harvard with that bilingual education it's gonna get at the zoo. So, yeah, then Sylvia's like, "Rumor has it Jeff could face much larger charges. I'm Sylvia, reporting for Sylvia News Network."
Yeah, and Jeff's like, "You know what? People's been warning me I'm in trouble for years. You got proof? Put it up. Stop fucking talking about it." And James is like, "Oh yeah, he'll be arrested. He's said a lot of things. I don't think I'm finished in this."
And then Eric, the
Shit off. James is just like, "I've got plenty more to rat."
yeah, he's like, "Listen, I have 15 lemur charges on me, which means there's 14 more people who are going down." So, anyway, and Eric the filmmaker is like, "Guys, it's been 7 episodes. I think it's time that we play Eye of the Tiger. Here we go." And then that starts to play, and we just see James on a jet ski. I'm assuming in that panhandle water that he recognizes so easily, just cruising along.
I love that they played the music that is a theme of a guy running up and down steps and used it for James on a Ski-Doo.
He's
Wow.
just there he goes, just
It's like,
zipping across.
let's get some sexy shots of James on a Ski-Doo. And he, like, slows down and looks at the camera.
Yes, like, I did just order some juicy juice for after this. So, and then we find out that, so then John Reinke is mad that James is out of everyone, that James is also not in trouble too. He just sort of weaseled his way out of it.
Yeah, which is true. And he's like, "So, you know what I did? I got so mad, I called the feds." It's like, "Would
Well,
you
yeah, well, Joe,
really?"
yeah, because Joe does. Yeah, so
No, Ranky.
oh,
Ranky's like,
Reinke did?
I called the feds. Yeah, he goes, "I called the feds, okay?" And I said, "What about James? What about James?" And they didn't call me back. They haven't said anything yet to me. I'm like, it's not customer service, okay?
I
It's not
know.
T-Mobile.
I got a call from someone named Tina at the Piercing Pagoda who said, "Please stop calling here. We are not the FBI," which I thought was a cover up if I ever heard one.
And Joe's like, in 20 years, I bit my tongue and kept my mouth shut to the point I'm not going to do it anymore. I got a list of 37 names. I want to get my evidence to PETA. Okay, so now Joe pulls a James where he's like, okay, I'm pissed and I'm going to go down. So I'm just going to scorch the earth. Right.
Yes, of course, because I think that he probably thinks he'll get him some immunity or whatever. So they like Dylan breaks into some sort of locker or whatever, some storage locker, which has all these like evidence and records and permits and hard drives or whatever. And he says that they send it to PETA. And then we meet back with Brittany, who I think we met several episodes ago, who starts talking about like her involvement and that she starts working with Joe, and they're looking through documents, and we see that there's like documents about Doc Antle. So I'm like, is this why Doc Antle is being profiled so much?
Yeah.
Which
The
so
PETA lady's just like, oh my God, he's able to share information about trafficking, abuse, robbery. larceny, loitering. I was like, damn, Joe's really just going to town.
Loitering. So then Eric is like, so Doc Antle, why have you not been targeted by PETA? And Doc's like, I'm not fucking around except with my 5 teen wives, okay? Like, I can't be targeted. How could you target me? All I've done is illegally buy and kill tigers. That camera's not rolling, is it?
Yeah.
Never
And
hired a hitman.
PETA lady is like, yeah, he told me that Doc actually gasses his tigers when they get too old, and then when they get too big for the cuddle parties or whatever, and then he cremates them on his on-site crematory or whatever,
Crematorium.
cremationary, crematorium. Thank you.
On-site creamery. Um,
It's
delicious.
delicious. Oh my
Tiger's milk.
god. Yeah, Rocky. Talk about Rocky Road. Am I right?
I mean, at the very at the tiniest silver lining, I'm not saying this to be like callous or whatever. At least gassing is more humane than the shot in the head or whatever, but still it's like it's not they shouldn't be gassed in the first place.
Yeah, and Joe's like, yeah, she said she was shocked. She said, you're willing to testify, and I said, are teeth made for falling out? That's right. She's like, his motivation is revenge, and it's amazing. Okay, we're
Yeah.
hooking up.
And then we go back to Jeff, who, it's like you can never stop looking at like the tower of hats on his head, right? And he's like, well, it seems like everyone who starts out well with me then falls out. It's not funny because now Tim and I are fighting. I'm like, isn't that funny how everything always goes wrong when you get involved? And I don't know how much of that. I think I would say 80% of that is because Jeff is sketchy, and 20% of that is because he always then partners up with sketchy ass people. Like, what do people expect when you partner with sketchy people? I
Yeah, no
know I'm
shit.
angry. I'm so angry right now. I
No, it's
think I'm
okay. I'm
hungry.
scrolling through just to get the best pictures of Howard that I can find because I just love finding really good pictures of Howard to put up on the screen.
Yeah, that's a good
That's my
one.
favorite one when his chin like
The
just
new
regresses
setup.
all the way back into his backbone, you
He
know?
becomes sort of like Mitch McConnell meets Bert of Bert and Ernie.
Yeah. He's like
So
Mitch McConnell, but with Sheena's neck when she lays on a couch.
So now Jeff and Tim are fighting. They were partners on the new, Thackerville Zoo, but now they're fighting. And Tim,
Uh-oh. We got stuck. Ben, can you hear me? Ben, are you stuck? Oh no, Ben. Let's see if he comes back. We can't pause these. Crappens on demandies. No, what's gonna happen? Ben, come back to me. I'll bet his computer done crashed. Dun dun dun. Ben, come back to me, my little love. You can come back. I believe in you, Ben. Damn it. Gonna have to edit this fucker. And he's gone. Come on, Ben. Come on home. Come on home to Ronnie. Come on. Oh, and he even hung up off the Skype. That means his computer done died, everybody.